They were concerned about a classmate. Is there a protocol or a system or something?
You'd have to. I'm sure there is. I mean, you know.
Did he cooperate?
He wasn't enrolled in. There is a process. They could get a hold of teachers, guidance counselors, their parents, make anonymous calls to Crime Stoppers. If somebody knows something, there's certainly ample way to say yes.
Governor Scott, isn't there a way?
Well, we had a school resource deputy, Deputy Peterson. He was on campus and he was armed. He never encountered, at this point, the only thing I can tell you definitively is he never encountered Cruz.
Governor Scott, you said you want to have a real conversation about how to prevent something like this from happening. Does that real conversation include gun control? Can you tell Floridians today that's something that you'll look into?
The two things I want to focus on when I have this conversation next week with state leaders is I want to focus on school safety, and that's going to focus on dollars. It's going to focus, as the superintendent said, on mental health dollars. It's going to focus on what are the things we can do with regard to school safety. But on top of that, we've got to think about this: if somebody's mentally ill, they should not have access to a gun. So I want to focus on both of those things. I've already spoken to the Speaker of the House and the Senate President, and they're receptive to having this conversation about school safety. All of us have children, or grandchildren, nieces or nephews. None of us want this anything like this to happen again. Let me also say something. I should have said something in Spanish earlier. Mis oraciones están con las víctimas y las familias que afectadas por esta tragedia. Como gobernador, es muy importante para mí que todos los estudiantes en la Florida estén seguros.
Governor, quick question. Is it a diagnosis that he's mentally ill? I see that there's a big focus on mentally ill. Is he mentally ill? Is this a diagnosis, or is this something that we're assuming because he killed so many people, or at least charged with that?
I think it's a pretty good assumption to start out with. Yes.
Governor, thank you. Sort of forecast for us the conversations you plan to have with lawmakers next week. How will they be different from the conversations you had with them after the last shootings?
Right. But let's remember this. First off, Pulse was a terrorist attack. And after Pulse, I asked for money, and the legislature supported adding more counterterrorism experts through our Florida Department of Law Enforcement, and we did that. We, I think, added 46 additional counterterrorism experts, so we did that. In this case, what we have to think about is all of our schools have to be safe. It's as simple as that. How do we do that? It's going to be funding. It's going to be is there both for security, for mental illness, for counselors, things like that. But on top of that, we've got to say to ourselves, if we have somebody that's mentally ill, they can't have access to a gun. So, but look, I'm open to having a conversation about things because I don't want my children, your children, my grandchildren, your grandchildren, ever anything to go through like this. I don't want a parent to have to say, oh, I've got to teach you now when you start kindergarten that you've got to learn how to be careful about a shooter. That's not this society we all want to live in.